Welcome to Manifested Publishers.
Hello and welcome back to the social studies lesson. The topic is democracy and human rights. This lesson is a continuation of the last lesson in which we discussed the importance of respecting human rights. We gave 5 reasons why it's important to respect human rights. The first point is that it helps people feel free and secure in their country. Number 2, we learned that respecting human rights enables human beings to fully develop their talents. Number 3, it enables people to carry out economic activities in an atmosphere of peace. Number 4, we saw that it helps special groups like the disabled to receive fair treatment and equal opportunities. Then lastly, we learned that it helps people get efficient services from the government or people holding public offices. That's what we learned in our last lesson. Then at the end of that lesson, I gave you one revision question. Give 5 reasons why it's important to respect the rights of others. In our today's lesson, we are going to give more reasons why it's important to respect human rights. We will continue with the lesson. By the end of this lesson, you should be able to give 10 or 11 reasons why it's important to respect human rights. So I want to proceed from where we stopped. I'm going to give the 6th point why it's important to respect human rights. The next point is that the citizens can criticize people in authority because of freedom of expression. The citizens can criticize people in authority because of freedom of expression. Where human rights are respected, learners, then the freedom of expression is allowed. Where citizens can criticize people in authority, like in our country, we have seen the president being criticized, the members of parliament being criticized, the head of the judiciary has been criticized, the cabinet secretaries face criticism from ordinary people because they respect the freedom, people's freedom of expression. And learners' criticism is good. It's good to have people criticize you, whether you are in government or you are not, because it is through criticism that we improve, because all of us are not perfect. So when you make a mistake, you may have what we call a positive criticism. If someone criticizes you with the help of making you, with the reason for making you better, then that is positive criticism. So criticism, learners, is very good, and where leaders respect human rights, then they allow the citizens to criticize them, because a president is a very powerful person in a country. But the president, for example, the presidents we've had in Kenya, all of them have been good presidents because they allow citizens to correct them when they make a mistake. They respect people's freedom of expression. All right? The citizens can criticize people in authority because of freedom of expression. This helps to make the officers in public service responsible and accountable. Criticizing people in authority makes the people in authority to be responsible. It makes them to be accountable. So that is point number 6. Moving on, number 7. The next reason why respecting human rights is important is because it helps control abuse of power. It helps control abuse of power. It helps control abuse of power by the government against citizens. Abuse of power by the government against its citizens. Against the citizens. Where those officers who wield power, where the government, learners, respects human rights, then that is a way of controlling abuse of power. Abuse of power is where power is used to oppress the citizens. Power is used to oppress the citizens. That is abuse of power, where power is not used appropriately. When power is not used in a good way, then we say the one wielding the power is abusing power. So respecting human rights helps control abuse of power by government against its citizens. That is point number 7. Then another reason why respecting human rights is important is that it helps citizens to get involved in the making of decisions on matters that affect them. It helps citizens to get involved. It helps citizens to get involved in making decisions on matters that affect them. On matters that affect them. This is because respect for human rights encourages democracy. Respect for human rights encourages democracy. And we have learned before that in a democracy, the people must be involved in decision making. In a democracy, the government only creates an environment where people make decisions. People must participate in decision making. In a democracy, the government does not dictate. The government allows the people to get involved in decisions on matters that affect them. So respecting human rights, learners, is possible in a democracy. That is how the citizens get involved in making decisions on matters that affect them. Then number 9, it reduces misunderstandings between the citizens and the government. It reduces misunderstandings between the citizens and the government. It reduces misunderstandings between the citizens and the government, and also among the citizens themselves, and among the citizens themselves, and among the citizens themselves. This helps to promote what we call national unity. It helps what we call national unity, because learners, when citizens are involved in decisions that affect them, then they'll have a feeling of belonging and responsibility. Where people have a feeling of belonging and responsibility, then that promotes peace and unity. But where the government dictates to people, or when the government makes decisions on behalf of people, when people are not involved in decision making, then the people may get angry. People may not be happy. People will not have a sense of belonging. That is where disunity or chaos begin, when people feel that the government is dictating, because human beings by nature do not like to be told things to do. They want to make their own decisions. So in a democracy, the people make their own decisions. So learners, respecting human rights, for example, the right to vote or the right to make decisions, reduces misunderstandings between the people and the government, and between or among the citizens themselves. Number 10, all people are treated equally. All people are treated. Where human rights are respected, all people are treated equally, irrespective of gender, irrespective of race, irrespective of religion, and so on. Irrespective of tribe, religion, gender, etc. All people are treated equally. Respect for human rights encourages the inclusion of all members of the society in national activities and events. Where human rights are respected, then all people are treated equally. All people are treated equally. All people are involved. All people are included in the activities, in the society, in national activities and events. Number 11, another reason why respecting human rights is important is because children who are allowed to enjoy their rights are able to grow up well, and they become upright citizens. Children who are allowed to enjoy their rights, children who are allowed to enjoy their rights, grow up well, and they become upright citizens. They become productive citizens. Children who are allowed to enjoy their rights, these are children whose rights are respected. For example, some of you are studying, you are in standard 7. If you are studying, then your rights are being respected. But the moment you are told you are not going to school, for one reason or another, then your rights are not being respected. And if you don't go to school, if you don't complete your education, then you are likely not to grow up well. You will grow up in a bad way because you will not have knowledge. You have heard many people say knowledge is power. You need knowledge to survive well in this life. You need knowledge in different fields so that you can be able to solve your problems in this life. So if you do not have knowledge, if you are not educated, then you are most likely not to grow up well, because without education, you may not be in a position to even meet your needs. Because the reason why you are studying is because as you grow up, you will acquire skills like carpentry skills, like plumbing. Some of you will become hairdressers. Some of you will become doctors. You need skills. Accountants, footballers, musicians. You cannot become a good musician unless you acquire musical skills. You may need to learn how to play a guitar. You may need to learn how to compose songs. That can only happen if you enjoy your right to education now. That's why you need to enjoy your studies. You are not studying because your parents have told you to study. No, the reason why you have gone to school is so that you can get education, or you can acquire knowledge which will be important as you stay on your own. Because a time is coming when you will leave your home. When you are 18 years and above, then you will be expected to fend for yourself. You will be expected to meet your own needs. You will be expected to buy your own food, buy your own clothes, buy your own house, buy your own car, buy your own land. You may also have children as you grow up. Your children will require to be fended for. Your children will require to be fed, to be clothed, and so on. So the reason why you are studying is so that you may grow up well and become an upright citizen. Learners, you have seen many people who ran away from school, they become useless citizens. They become a burden. They become robbers. They become thieves because they don't have money to cater for their needs. When you don't study, you may not have skills to get money. You may not have employment. All right? That means that as you stand on your own in future, as you become independent in future, when your parents are not paying for your needs, then if you are not working, then you end up stealing, because learners, there's what we call basic needs like food. You must eat, you must clothe, you must get shelter. So if you don't work, you may not have those things. So that's why people end up stealing. Those who steal are not upright citizens. So learners, children who are allowed to enjoy their rights, for example, the right to education, they grow up well and they become upright citizens. Are we together? Do you understand? Yes. I know you understand because you know English language you can understand. I'm communicating in English language which you understand. Children who do what? Who are allowed to do what? To enjoy their rights. They do what? They grow up well and they become upright citizens. And on that note, we've come to the end of our today's lesson, which marks the end of the topic democracy and human rights. And as you know, by now, the lesson is never complete without revision questions. Revision questions. Question number 1. I have 3 questions for you. Number 1, state for human rights that every citizen should be allowed to enjoy. Number 2, give 5 ways in which human rights can be abused in society today. Number 3, give 10 reasons why it's important to respect the human rights of others. Learners, when answering these 3 questions, please ensure that your exercise book is closed. Try and retrieve what you have learned from your memory. Only go back to the notes to check if your answers are correct. Thank you for attending this lesson. You've been a good student because you've gone through all the lessons in the chapter, Democracy and Human Rights. The good thing about videos is that you can always go back and listen to the videos. So I encourage you to come back to the video, go back to the first lesson in the topic, Democracy and Human Rights, because sometimes we forget. So I want you to go and remind yourself of what we learned in lesson 1 and do the assignments that I gave you at the end of every topic. Then all shall be well. Thank you. God bless you. Bye-bye. I hope to meet you in our next chapter. In our next lesson, we are going to begin another chapter. Bye-bye.